Hello everyone and welcome to the STPL. I am Kix. This is Lottie, my cat. She decided to sit in front of me today, so that's soon to get fed up with me. And joining me today is Rapid.
That's right, Kix. It's good to be here. I am very sleepy because it's 5 a.m. out here in South Korea, but it's good because while I may not have any degrees of warmth, I at least have StarCraft and you and everyone watching. So that's all I need.
Well, it's
right?
super cold in Korea because here it's warmed up.
Yeah, it's about -11 here.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty bad. It was 13 degrees here and it was way too warm.
Oof.
Yeah.
13 whole degrees. Imagine having a degree. Like, that's all I can say. It's a rare thing. You should be thankful out there no matter where you are, because some people don't have those things.
Yeah, okay, so, I mean, we can get started with this week's STPL. So starting us off, we'll just go into the maps. Starting us, we'll have Holy World SE. We'll then be moving into New Bloody Ridge. Cool map. Gonna head into Eye of the Storm. That's our second player map of the week. Set 4 is going to be on Great Barrier Reef, third player or 3-player map of the week, and then set 5, if we get to it in the East match, is going to be on Fortress SE.
Really, hashtag big fan of this season's map pool. I think we've seen like maps like Fortress before, and I think New Bloody Ridge, but Holy World, somebody, someday is going to infest that neutral command center. So I'm waiting.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. So
it's going to be good when it does as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, just having that possibility makes this season better.
And just going into Group A, that's going to be our first group of today. We saw on Monday IRK take down Net Wars 4-0. We missed our Group A match on Wednesday, but I'm going to be casting that over the weekend at some point. And you know what? Today we're going into one of our, I'd say, best Week 1 matchups, so it should be really cool. Going to see who that is when we introduce the teams in just a sec. But just having a look at the top 10 players, we've got Yeti, Koga, DeWalt, Terra, Noob, and Famasi, Dragon, Who, and Cryok up there in that top 10. Now, a lot of people would say, well, there's a lot of Koreans in the top 10, but, well, sorry, in the STPL, but there's not that many in the top 10, just 3 of them. And I mean, Yeti, Koga, DeWalt, Terra have been absolutely bossing it out throughout this whole season. And it's just pretty crazy, but without further ado, let's introduce our first team with their intro. White Clan. Legend Scan doing a really good job here against Best, but not managing for that nice Zealot drop.
Yeah.
Zealot Mind Drag even.
As if he needed any extra help, right?
Oh man, there was so many FTVs. And GG! The Swarm doesn't really matter too much when you don't have any units to go in it. And it's going to be nothing but Lings and Ultras to try and hold on here, but that's not going to be enough. GG!
It's going to tie before the Marine side finishes, and so that he can do it!
GG!
Wow. That's just like Tigers. That's Storm's do best. Kill Hydras. Oh my god, he wishes he had maybe one more.
Not have gone any better. I think this could be the end of it. It is GG! How quickly turrets died to me. This is insane.
Yeah, 9+1 units, man. That is not anything to watch out for. But this irradiates the big story. That's actually a really good split. But the second irradiate's actually dealing a lot more damage. So that's gonna do it. GG. Miso taps out.
It's showtime.
Okay guys, so there you have it. There is White Clan's intro. They have been doing really, really well. They came third in round 3. They actually won round 1 and 2, but round 3 they made it to the semi-finals again, despite all odds. They had a rough round 3 against some of the better teams, FBW, Az, and Soul taking them out. Soul taking them out in the semi-finals 4-0, so Soul completely destroying them, getting their revenge. But that's going to take us into our second team, which is going to be Red.
corner, or not the island, but like the base.
The
I
main.
guess it could be an island if he killed that. Yeah, but the other main.
And there we
but
go.
yeah, he's not going to be able to do it. GG. Marine taps out last. Somehow does the impossible. Actually, nothing can come out of here. Science vessels can't really do anything. And damn, that is a really sick play. Coup is going to take it.
And GG. Troll here, but he needs to repair as well. Both his units have gone down. And I get the feeling this may be what spurred the post. A really nice idea. But GG. Hearing me as well. Somebody stop this man. Cryon not able to save it, but another Irradiate going down on the final mirrors. All the mirrors have been cleaned up. Zero has nothing left. And GG can save it. It looks like Heriador's actually broken through. There's a drop in the main as well. Action all over the map right now. Hard to catch it all. Another base coming in from Heriador as well. Aru cannot keep up. And GG.
It's showtime.
Okay guys, that's our second team. Red Clan did really well in round 1. Round 2, they made it undefeated into the playoffs. Round 3, they didn't have the best of parts. They actually lost to Soul Gaming, IRK, and that was all it took to knock them out of the playoff position. Kind of crazy. Their group last round was insane.
Oh yeah, no, it consistently amazes me how difficult some of these groups have the potential of being. For White Clan, they actually had very difficult group last season, and then they wound up only making it to the semifinal for I think it was, or no, 2 seasons before that. But for Red Clan, I honestly, Team Red consistently surprises me. Not only by how well they can do in like upset matches where theoretically they're the underdog, but also how poorly they can do in matches that theoretically they're supposed to win against teams that are struggling. So I never know which version of of Red is going to show up. But as one of the colored teams here, they have done very well historically. So we'll see how they handle one of the best Korean clans in STPL.
Yep, so I mean, let's actually have a look at the stats between teams. Now, surprisingly, White Clan and Red have only actually met once so far. Red actually did win that match. That was in round 2, when they went undefeated to get into the playoffs. Both teams have had some just incredible games throughout the STPL. Obviously, you just mentioned they're both colors, which I didn't actually realize until you pointed that out. So it's cool to see both of them back here in their debut match for round number 4. Things are going to start really heating up from here, and they're going to start off heating up pretty strongly as we look at today's rosters. Actually, take that key match away. I need to hide that next time. But we're going to start with Ho versus Heriador on Holy World SE. Going to be moving into Gyro versus Horritos on New Bloody Ridge. We're going to have First versus Cryok on Eye of the Storm. That should be a sick match. And we're going to have a PvP between Telecom and Talent on Great Barrier Reef. Then, of course, if we do get there, the 8th match will be on for Rossetti.
Man, you name yourself Horror Toss. There's one build. There's only one build you're allowed to do, and that is 9/9 gate in your opponent's mineral line. So I'm looking forward to it. And of course, most of the other names are just super huge. Like Heriador and Cryok, just 2 titans of the non-Korean scene. Got a chance to meet both of them at the 20th anniversary LAN in Moscow, so I'm expecting great things. And of course, White Clan is just totally stacked top to bottom. So
yeah. You know what?
Yeah, it's just going to be amazing.
I'm going to make an executive decision and say this first match is going to be the key match of today. Heriador's PvZ is really insane. O has done a really great job in the SCPL so far as well, so hopefully Heriador, especially on Holy World SE, you know what, it's kind of a shame that he's not the one playing Zerg, because he would definitely invest the command center. But you know what, I think this is going to be pretty cool. First versus Cryok has a very good chance of being a good match as well, so does all of them. But of course, First, he struggled a little bit in the SCPL so far, so kind of surprised to see White Clan actually sending out First here when I think he lost his last few games, but we'll see that as we look at the stats for the players. Starting us off here, we're going to have Ho on the left-hand side of your screen, he's actually won 4 of his versus Protoss games. He's beaten Dragon, he's beaten Dentog, he's beaten Bonith, and then he beat Dragon again.
Wow, that's insane. Dragon is, I think, statistically one of the best performing players in STPL.
Yeah.
And so, like, if you have a winning record against this guy, it's just like, wow, you know, what are you doing that no one else is doing, right? So, actually, super impressed by Ho, and even though we've only gotten a chance to see him play a few games, I'm excited because not only is this a new round of STPL, you know, there's a little bit of break in between, so
Yeah.
I don't know what the status of all the players who used to be good is. Because, you know, people have realized, you know, it's not like they can afford to just do nothing but play StarCraft. So we'll see what Ho looks like today, because he has, like, honestly really, really tough opposition. Because it's super hard to predict what Eriador is going to do. He plays every race, every strategy. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yep, and I mean, when we're looking at his opponent, Eriador, 8 for 3, has done a pretty good job against Zerg so far. He's actually beaten Yaj and lost the Spire, so he's definitely got the odds stacked against him here, which is not something you can often say about Eriador. He's kind of been around since the dawn of time, playing StarCraft since it was released, playing since Vanilla as well. One of the players, Artosis, has been said to say has actually taught him a lot about the game, even back then, so Eriador's just a boss. Like, this is why I want to see him play. This is why it's my key match. Because it's always a treat to see how Eriador is going to treat the game. He has so many different styles, so many different ways of playing, and it's always really exciting to see what he's going to do, especially when we come across a map such as our next one. It's going to be Holy World SE. Okay, I've actually been muted this whole time, but basically what I was trying to say, well, I'll just summarize because I was talking for a long time. That's kind of crazy. So we have Ho in the top right, Eriador in the bottom left, Wolf at the line. We got the third base winner only and the fourth base. Very easy to take gas. Well, there's a couple of options to expand. One of the things I've actually seen this week in the STPL and the PVZs we've seen here is the Zergs have actually opted to go for the sort of base in the middle, not going for the third gas right away and going for some very early Hydralisk aggression. Not sure if we're going to see that here, but that was eventually what led to the downfall of Praise against CT1. So hopefully we'll see Ho play this a little bit better, and I'm looking to see exactly how this is going to go as we get into game. Okay, starting us off here in the top right-hand position, we do have the Green Zerg fighting for White Clan. Oh.
And his opponent for Team Red, the other color, but oddly enough in the purple, is Eriador. Maybe he's playing as part of Team Red and Team Blue simultaneously, so he's somewhere in between.
Yeah, PvP should be relatively cool here. Now, I wanted to, before I got into the game, but I thought, till now, just in case people don't know, it was Rapid's birthday yesterday, so everybody wish him a
Aw.
happy birthday. I was actually belated doing it, so now you can all be belated as well.
Yeah, I was just say, how could you, Kix? You were at least an hour. It's too slow. No, I'm just kidding. It's fine. Thank you very much. It was a really good day, and it's even better because now I have STPL. I was actually going to cast STPL on my birthday, but I was just like, no. This can be my birthday present where I get to sleep more than 3 hours a night. But I did go back and catch the VOD, so it was kind of like I was there all along. But yeah, it was nice. I'm glad to get back to casting STPL after having my 1 day off. So thanks for holding down the STPL fort without me, Kix.
Okay, I was kind of lucky in a way. Well, I was lucky and I wasn't lucky. I got halfway through the cast and I suddenly realized, wait, they never sent me the set of replays, so I only casted one set, but then I got to watch the Nintendo Direct, so everything was fine. It all worked out. That was a good Direct.
Yeah, it was a good short day of STPL. But I don't know. I think today actually could be a little bit longer if these series are super close. And let's kind of look at the way that that the series is starting out. Like we said, I think Aerodor does mostly play Protoss, but he does play pretty much everything. He's had years and years to to practice each one of these things. Aerodor's story is like one of those, while you were, a jock playing football, I studied the blade. Except for him, he studied StarCraft, and I think it shows.
Yeah, he's mainly known as a race picker, but he plays random on ladder now. The lack of race picking. Play all 3 races, pretty high standard. I think he said previously. Terran is definitely his worst, but his ZPT and his PVZ are always equal. Back in 2017, I actually casted a really between him and some Tornado. That was a really good game. It went on for like 50 minutes. And there was another one.
Only you would think a game on New Tornado is good. Oh
yeah,
my god.
Well, it was that, and back in the same year, there was actually a game between him and Elson Neo Medusa that me and Sale actually casted, and that went on for like an hour and 10 minutes or something. So Aerodor's the sort of person who can end up with long games.
Is this lagging super hard for you, Kix?
I think it is. I'm gonna make sure that I've not got anything else running that I couldn't do.
No, it's not. It's not you. It's the game because it's lagging super hard for me too. I set the latency and everything. I did everything I could, but oh well. Wow. I mean, we can restart the replay if you feel so inclined, but we got some slideshow Zerglings. That's the only thing going on.
Yeah, I'm just double checking. I'm definitely not running anything because I know I have definitely caused lag before. So
give me one second, Reno here. I'm just gonna turn off everything I have humanly possibly running. Actually, now it seems better.
A little bit.
Okay.
Now it's definitely better.
Okay, sick. We did it. All right, esports is saved, Kix.
Nice. But is it safe for long? Aerodor's actually moving in with a couple of zealots and a probe. There's not that many Zerglings back here, but there's a lot of Zerglings on the other side of the map. Aerodor does not have anything here to defend. The probe is going to go down. The cannon could go down as well. And Aerodor spending a lot of his energy focusing this hatchery, but the Lynx coming in to defend as well. And Ho is in a great position.
Oh, he is in a great position, but man, Aerodor squeezed that Zealot out at the last possible moment. If the Zerglings had actually focus fired the pylon instead of the cannon, I think that would have been actually much better, because who cares if there's an unpowered cannon right there?
Yeah.
But the like muscle memory tells you to focus fire the cannon.
The one, yeah.
So yeah, it's hard. It's a tough call, because obviously if you can't kill the pylon in time, you just have a terrible time. But I do think killing the pylon would have been the better call there. Either way, he's still in a great spot.
Oh, that's so clever. Aerodor using the neutral disruption web to save his zealot. The Zerglings can't attack it. That's so good. Ah, I love this map.
Wait, okay, so how does D-Web work? Because I thought it was just for ranged attacks, right?
No, just nothing can attack under Disruption Web.
Oh, okay. Well, I've been wrong about that my entire life.
Well, it's not like you get
know,
to see it very often, so...
Yeah, I was gonna say I really don't encounter D-Web all that often. Is he gonna pick off a Zealot with 4 Lings in the main? No way. Man, Ho is really on top of things. Oh my god, he almost killed the Zealot.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even actually understand how he got the Zealot, well, the Zerglings into the base. I thought Eriador had a tight wall at the front, but I guess he didn't. I was too busy amazed by the D-Web, and look, the Zealot just runs out the D-Web now and just goes to attack. There's not that much here to defend. And,
wait, you thought Eriador had a tight wall?
Not a fully tight wall, but he had like three Zealots out the front, I thought, but I guess not.
Oh yeah, but these are the links that had already run by and hit the cannon earlier.
Oh, so. Okay, yeah, they went to the bottom left, didn't they? That explained it.
Yeah,
I thought I was going crazy. I was like, huh, how did he get in?
Oh, he's gonna get a probe. Oh my god, he's gonna get 2 probes. Is he gonna get a 3rd? Oh my, Ho is really on fire. This is where if this were not StarCraft but like NBA Jam, they would just say he's on fire.
Oh, Eriador gets a drone though. Eriador's doing a pretty good job on the other side.
2 drones, that's definitely worth it. 3 drones? My man,
a good number of things.
Yeah, and killing drones is maybe a little bit more valuable than killing probes. I don't know how you want to like equalize that, but both players have stabilized on either side. No one's at a terrible disadvantage. I'm checking the probe count. It's a little bit light in the natural, but needs to maybe Maynard over a few more probes. But the bigger thing is that there's just a ton of Lings out, so that means that Eriador really can't do anything out on the map.
Yeah, he's lost a good number of Zealots now, moving across, trying to be aggressive. We can see that Ho has actually opted to take that base in the middle, so going for the mineral only, not worrying about the gas for now. He is adding a Spire, so he's going to be relying on 1 gas, by being his second best being Geyser at some point. But with no Hydralistan, and with no 5th hatchery as well, it looks like the 5th hatchery is going to come down as I say it. What's Ho's plan from here? It's weird to see kind of no Hydralistan at this point in the game, and he doesn't have that second gas yet. And
yeah, I mean, okay, I was going to say, when you delay your tech at all as a Zerg player, either you're going for an ultra eco opening, like 3 hatch before pool or something, or you are trying to like wait until you deny scouting or something, but neither one of those things are happening this game. Like I saw him throw down the Spire with no Hydra Den, and I'm like, was he going mutas? Like that's a little bit strange, but no, there is the Hydra Den, so all is right with the world.
Shuddering just a little bit again, which is kind of strange, but hopefully that'll sort of
I think we're back. Okay. Those underwater internet tubes are just a little bit clogged today, man. We got to send the data all the way between South Korea and the UK. The number of things that go between the South Korea and UK is just not that many. They won't even allow haggis to go from the UK to South Korea. So internet, maybe that's a little bit of a rough ask sometimes.
Strange how choppy this is, but I'll see if I can.
I was gonna say because like
in between
our call is
games.
totally fine.
Yeah.
I can read Twitch chat totally fine. I don't know. It's a daily struggle here for the servers. We'll see. My thing is like, you know, it's a replay, right?
Yeah.
Like the game already happened. It's not like we need like, you know, good latency to watch a replay together. So for it to be bad, it must be really bad. This is why I keep dodging you for our show match kicks.
Well, the Zealots did push out. One of them went down immediately to Ho's Lings. The Corsair moved in, scouted exactly what was going on, saw the late Hydralistan. At least I believe he's second gas just coming into play as well. So, gonna pull back that Corsair, grab another one. Now, one thing I'm kind of excited for in this game is Eriador likes using Dark Archons. So whether or not we're going to get to see that is yet to be discovered. He doesn't have his Templar Archives as of yet, but it's certainly a possibility on the horizon.
It is, but like you say, he likes using Dark Archons. He likes building Dark Archons. Whether or not they actually get used is not something that is always guaranteed. Because definitely Dark Archons are super situational. You barely ever see them. There is that, I forget, who was the guy that we were talking about doing the, was it TT1 that does the Dark Archon defense?
Yeah.
where he maelstroms the mutas and storms them. I'm just like, okay, you know, that's sick, right? But it's just kind of tough to pull that off. Well, hey, sick Overlord Scout right in the middle of the map is going to let Ho know that there is about a half a control group of Zealots headed his way. I think 8 in total.
Well, they're
This could
actually going for this
absolutely
base.
run in and snipe something. Yeah, they're going for the third base, going to kill the Sunken very quickly if they commit to it. But knowing that the Lings are already en route, decide not to commit.
Yeah, Ariador definitely making use of the fact he knows his opponent knows where his Zealots are. Going to run away from them. You know, one of the things that wouldn't surprise me to see later on is if Ariador actually kills the command center, because infested Terrans against Protoss are just absolutely insane. There's no realistic way.
Crazy.
There's no realistic way for Zerg to deal with them. Now, looks like we are going to have the engagement in the middle. Zealots cutting off a few things, gonna pull back. Templar Archives has finished. Storm on the way, so isn't going to be able to push straight through. Ariador's going to need a few more cannons than this, so Rapid, he's only got one.
Why does he only have one cannon? What is up with these one cannon Protoss players? And obviously, like, sometimes that's all you need, but I mean, this number of Zealots, like, they're good against Hydras, but not this many Hydras. And so all of a sudden, you start to look at that storm timing, and you're just like, well, that thing can't finish fast enough.
Yeah, and GG. Ho takes down Ariador, who was woefully undefended at his natural. And what a shame. I thought that was going to be a really, really cool game. And, well, we saw some cool moments. I'm not so sure about that. That's certainly something.
Yeah, I'm going to have to drop the thinking emoji on that storm timing there. Obviously, when that hits and you have storm, it's like, okay, it's a little bit touchy. Maybe they kill your Forager Gateway, but then you just storm the Hydras, like, okay, well, you know, we get it. We know how the game plays out from here on. But yeah, you can't just fight with Zealots. The Zealots are supposed to be in the wall, and then they go in and out and in and out, and then you buy time for storm, and then you storm them, and you have an okay game. But it always surprises me, Kicks, like the number of different ways that you can just spontaneously combust at any moment in Brood War. It's just like you miss one thing, your Zealot trips on his way across the map, and it's just over. So it is it's a rough life that we live in Brood War. But for Ho, he definitely deserved that win. Really on point with all of his timings, kept the pressure up, and hit before storm. So sick.
Yeah, the cool thing is, I already have the overlay ready for the next game, so if you join replay, what we can do is we can get going quickly. But just to go through how players are going to be in Set 2, just going to head on over to player stat screen, just have a look at the map as well, just while we get in the replay and everything. So what we're looking at here is we are looking at Gyro. This is the screen. Let's move this over here, and it's all well and good, but Gyro fighting for white. He's actually their captain. Hasn't played too many games for them. He more leads from behind. He's still a good player in his own right. He's actually 2 for 3 in the STPL himself, and he's actually 1 for 2 against Protoss. So hasn't had the best of luck so far. But his opponent going to be one of Red's new players, so no stats for him, no history at all. He's actually Horatoss. Now, I don't really know anything about Horatoss actually, so this will be kind of a moment where we learn a little bit about him.
Oh, I thought there was a video to play, but you're right. I don't know anything about this guy either. I would say that the only thing that I know about, like, his name, so if you guys don't know, and I'll maybe reference this during the VOD, there's a strategy called Horror Gate, which is a version of a 9-9 gate, but you build it off of a proxy pylon in your opponent's main. And a lot of times it's a manor pylon that you build, and then you build gates behind it, power it with a pylon, and it's named after a strategy that Bisu used against the legend, probably the I don't want to say worst player, but the player with some of the most comedic losses, Poked you on my favorite map, Shin Peaks of Baekdu, in 2007. This is one of the first games of StarCraft that I ever saw, maybe like one of the first 10 games. And I remember I'm still learning about StarCraft, and I see Bisu do this. I'm like, you can't do that. I didn't know anything about the game, but I knew that was just like, I mean, that's like you give your opponent a machine gun and then you kill him with a spoon. It's just like, it shouldn't be possible, but it's just that badass. So if you haven't seen that game, go back and watch it. That's the Horror Toss. This is a
Yeah.
new horror toss. I'm excited to see those Manor Pylons go down.
And the saddest thing, just quickly, is not only did he do that to kill Pokju in that game, Pokju retired after that game. He never played another professional game. That's how hard he got proxy gated. He got proxy gated so hard he gave up. Like, that was it. That's some serious cheese. Now, let's introduce our second map. It's going to be New Bloody Ridge. Okay guys, we are back. Now you're looking at our newest, well not our newest map, but it's one of our maps here for the STPL. It is New Bloody Ridge. Now there is 2 spawns on this map, the top right and the bottom left. You may not have seen this this in a tournament while. The last official tournament it was in was, I believe, one of the SSLs about 2 years ago. So not been the most modern map, but it is a really cool 2-player map. It's very easily horizontally and vertically. Now, in TBT, a horizontal split is more likely, but in this game we have Gyro, I believe, spawning in the top right, and what we'll likely see him do is he'll take his natural quite easily. There's a stroke here that you can bunker up, so 1 Rax FE, not too bad on here, but as it is a 2-player map, makes it a little bit harder. Now, I don't actually know if that's showing off, it should be now, but basically we should see him pushing over this central ridge here, fully over the second ridge, securing his 3rd base, and then taking a 4th base in the bottom right as well. So this is a pretty good map for carriers, makes it very difficult for Goliaths to move around, but in terms of what we'll see from Horitos, I mean, if he doesn't proxy gate in the middle, because if you look in the middle here, there's actually a really good proxy location where you can fit 2 gates and a pylon. We could see him taking his 3rd base here and trying to split the map that way as well. A little bit of a better map here for Terran. It's very wide, but it's also very tight as well. So you can see that sort of the main areas that would block Horitos off from the base are quite narrow, so it makes it better for siege tanks. But certainly a good map for Protoss aggression if Horitos can get in there quick enough.
I was waiting for Kix to get himself in trouble with some of these arrow formations, but we made it. We were safe.
Yeah.
You mentioned that it's a good map for Terran, Kix, and perhaps one of the reasons that you put this in the map pool is that this map is so good for Terran that our boy, the savior of Protoss, the dragon himself, Jangbi, was about to 3-1 Fantasy in the finals of the last OSL, the 2011 OSL. And Fantasy had the sickest comeback on this map in Game 4 of their series to bring it back, tie the series up at 2-2, and take us to an ace match. It was one of the best series of StarCraft I've ever watched because at that time, Jangbi was kind of overthrowing all the other strong Protoss players at the time, and Fantasy was overthrowing all of the strong Terran players at that time. So you had 2 of the best players in the world, and this map really kind of turned the tide of one of the last major tournaments that we got in the previous era of Brood War. So very, very key map. You should absolutely go back and watch that series. Some of the best StarCrafts I've ever seen. And so I knew that Kix would never pass up an opportunity to play as many good fantasy maps as possible. And that's why New Bloody Ridge is in this map pool.
Well, I mean, Shifty Eyes. So.
Exposed, Kix!
Oh no!
You'll never recover from this.
That's it. Okay, well, hopefully I'll be able to recover from this. We're watching some good StarCraft as we get into game number 2 between White Clan and Red. It's Gyro versus Horitos. Okay, and starting us off here in the top right-hand position, we have the yellow Terran even fighting for White Clan. It's their captain. Technically my captain. It's Gyro.
Yep, and his opponent on the opposite side of the screen is our teal, or malachite-colored Protoss player, Horror Toss. So I was waiting for a probe to get out on the map early on, but it looks like we're not going to have him live up to his name just yet.
Yeah, I mean, there's still time. Just waiting for that 20-minute double gate proxy in the third base. That's the new meta right now. But
that's where you build like the scouting pylon or the blocking pylon at the third of the natural, and then you come back and you power it, and they're like, wait a second, you're not supposed to be able to do that. But yeah, probably the name, just kind of a meme at that point. I was gonna say maybe it's after the player horror, but no, that's also not true. So we're actually probably just gonna have a normal game here, but I don't know what to expect from Gyro. I know you said he's the captain of White Clan, but I'm not as familiar with his playstyle.
yeah, I mean, we've seen a few games from him. One of the more notable games we saw from him was the game he actually lost against Headmaster on Hitchhiker back in round 2. So it's been a while since we've actually seen him play. He does usually allow his teammates, his underlings, as you were, play the games for him. He very much is a good team manager, though he's been doing it for a very long time, and always looking to try and find stuff for White Clan to be in. So when I went to him about asking if White Clan wanted to join the STPL, he was like, oh, that'd be really cool. I really want to try and bridge the gap between the foreign and Korean scene. So here they are, 4 rounds in. They won the first 2 rounds. People thought they would be unbeatable. And then in round 3, not only did they struggle in the group stage, they also lost against Seoul, a team they'd beaten 3 times before in the semi-finals. So things can change. White Clan being in this tournament, I think, has definitely benefited the foreign teams as well, and they've certainly started playing a lot better all across the board, really.
Yeah, really cool to have that kind of competition. I think a lot of tournaments have at you. One of the ones that also includes a lot of Korean versus non-Korean battle. It's super good for the scene. I think it really does show that players cannot just sort of take the free win or rest on their laurels just because they think they're better than somebody else. Because a lot of times we have seen like some super good upsets. I think who was it? It was Doc Holiday just tweeted at me a few minutes ago that Eon Zerg had beat Zero in a ZVZ on stream, and I'm just like, holy cow, this is so sick. So yeah, really, really cool time to be alive. Except for that probe, it's not a good time to be alive for him.
Yeah, that poor probe decided to run to the side of the base. Thought, you know what, I'm gonna get out of here. This is fine. Then the third marine's just like, wait, nope, I'll spawn here and kill you. So that's something. Gyro pulling his SCV away. I'd say just at the right time, but this is still quite awkward for him. I mean, it looks like the Dragoon isn't going to chase him forever, so that's something. But this Dragoon's going to get... Okay, it's not going to get stuck. For some reason I thought them gap rather than a big one. But looks like a single Dragoon can get through there. But I'm not looking forward to trying to see Dragoon going through there a little bit later in the game when there's fun. I can imagine that's a little bit of a problem.
Yeah, I mean, probably not that big a deal. The problems in the early game are things like horror gates. Like that's a problem. It's like, holy cow, I have to deal with this right now. But we've seen a few hiccups along the way, and I don't actually think that things will get any worse at this time. Like there's a couple of Dragoons, and so obviously if you just have 3 Marines and nothing else, maybe that'll be a problem. But ooh, he's gonna get in here and see this. Range is actually almost done here, Kicks.
It is, and the thing is, he doesn't know what his opponent's doing, but Gyro is actually going for a Starport. Welcome, Aggies viewers, to the STPL. We're currently watching Red versus White Clan, but there we go. Looks like Horato's gonna push in, pulling back a little bit though, not willing to lose too much health on those Dragoons.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Like, if there's 2 gates powering behind this, like Gyro doesn't know that he wasn't about to face 4 ranged Dragoons at that second. If you try to push out with a tank at that point, you get the tank sniped and you're in super hot water, at least maybe until mine's finished. But it's a very, very delicate balance, this early game PvT. It's just like we saw Ariador kind of die to that Hydra timing in game 1. You can absolutely have the exact same thing happen if you don't have your Terran wall up in time, or at least the ability to defend against ranged dragoons. Super volatile point in the game, but the game goes on.
Yeah, now the interesting thing is here, Gyro is opting not to expand, but to add another factory here. He scouted how many gateways his opponent has, scouted the Nexus, so going for a little bit of an all-in here. This is actually going to be a difficult engagement for him to really win. Now, of course, Haratos does not know what's going on in the Terran base right now. He knows there's no bunker, though, and he knows the Marine count is still low, so he can probably assume something could be a little bit awry, just due to the fact that Gyro is being really aggressive with denying scouting, and this is why the dropship going on the right side of the map.
All right, so this will be a sneaky dropship. A lot of times you'll see Protoss players go down to the 6 o'clock location and build a scouting pylon just to make sure that drops like this don't happen. But here we go. It's a full contingent of four vultures. So, I mean, if you look at the ability to defend against this, it's just totally non-existent. There's just nothing in the main base. You drop these in the mineral line, it is going to be bad. He's going to actually drop them a little bit short and run them in, but ooh, we're going to witness a terrible tragedy. And he's going to mind the distance between, or the entrance between there. So, good luck, my dude. Oh my god, this is going to be bad.
Okay, this is like the bit in the horror movie where like the serial killer just broke in your
my
house.
God.
Oh!
Oh my god, that's so bad. Wow, that killed like 12 probes. Holy cow.
Not only that, but that really was like the bit in the horror movie. The serial killer found the guy in the closet. That was it. My goodness.
There's my evil laugh. Damn, it's kind of rare that you get a chance to see that, but wow. Thankfully, an observer is out, so he'll be able to kill the mines, but he still doesn't kill the vultures.
Yeah, and there's more vultures coming in from the top of the natural. He's going to go in, going to lay mines around this Dragoon, and he is going to have free reign over all the remaining probes.
Oh my god.
Oh,
and all the other Dragoons are out on the map.
Yeah,
This
well,
is
he's
such
got
a
4 in his
tragedy.
main now, but the trouble is he's transferring probes into vultures at the moment, and that's not a position you want to be in. Now, Gyro still does not have his expansion, so as long as Haratos can continue to build probes, he's going to be way behind, but he at least has good production, and Gyro is still relatively not super behind. He's actually ahead in economy now, but he's behind where he should be.
Dude, somebody clip that. It's your free Reddit karma. Get that out there. It's so rare that you get a chance to see that. But this is sort of like, you know, when Terrans go wrong, right? Or when Protoss go wrong. When things go wrong for Protoss, it's a terrible, terrible thing to witness. Now, obviously, it's not the end of the world, but the problem with delaying a Protoss economy at this point in the game is that this is actually the point where you're supposed to start to outgrow the Terran player, where you get more bases up around the map, where you build a bunch of more gateways, and you start to like really get that solid infrastructure. Because if you're stunted at this point in the game, then once that Terran push comes out, and it's coming soon, you're gonna have a struggle.
Yeah, I mean, the Gyro is going up to 4 factories now. He's actually going to drop a single vulture in the main, using the dropship that he's kept alive, and there's actually no defense here again, so this could be a big problem. There's going to be 3 mines on this vulture. You can see Haratos pulling his probes immediately, but you can just, I mean, just by that probe at the 3rd base, you can just see how far behind Haratos is where he wants to be. He can't afford a Nexus, and constantly having to transfer the probes like this is just delaying his mining even more.
Yeah, and we're about ready to see that 3rd command center come down, and just thanks to the architecture of this map, the architectural structure of this map. Damn, there is a gas here at the 3rd base, so you can just plop a command center right down there, maybe wall it off. And as a Terran player, if you can sit on 3 base at this point, ooh, it's gonna be so hard to deal with. So I don't know, man. It's looking good for the captain of White Clan, Gyro. Really hasn't taken any hits this game at all.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, he's actually got a scouting pylon here for that drop in the bottom left, but the Dragoons are going to be running up the ramp, taking a load of damage from the mines. Oh, things are going from bad to worse for Horror at the moment. 2 vultures getting into the main again. There is a single Dragoon here, but the mines outside of the gateways. He's pulling all of his probes again. He doesn't need to. This is an overreaction. And that could have led to another mine drag.
Well, he does need to equalize the probe numbers. I think he never sent a bunch of probes back into the main, so finally now I think we're actually going to be a little bit more economical. But he can't build a Nexus. He just can't get enough money because he's always trying to put out fires and everything. Also, if you look at the position of his Dragoons on the ramp, it still doesn't block a dropship from coming in through
Yeah.
the southern path. So like one of the biggest hallmarks of pro players as opposed to just really good players is their crisis management.
Yeah.
I think more so than multitasking or micro or macro, crisis management is really the stress test for whether or not you can actually play at the top level. Because there's just so many things that can go wrong. You're just putting out fires the entire time.
Yeah, and I mean, Gyro is doing a really, really good job here. He's kept his dropship alive the entire time. We do have some Dragoons in the main base now to defend against a possible redrop, but the problem he has is he has no presence on the map now. He has an observer that can't really do much. And oh, looks like the dropship actually did go down. The Dragoons to pick off the tanks, so that is a sigh of relief here for Horatos, but Hora's going all in. He's not building a Nexus, he's just adding more and more gateways and just going to try and muscle his way through this Terran army, but +1 attack is already finished and Gyro is heading in for the kill.
Yeah, here we go. All in or not, this is just going to be the hardest push to hold. It's basically only Dragoons at this point, and you need that special secret sauce of Zealots to get on top of the tanks. These are slow Zealots, by the way, and slow Zealots are just so totally useless, it's not even funny.
Yeah, slow Zealots, I think it was in a game me and you saw the other day, where like Zealots just didn't have slow forever. I think it was TP1's game.
Yeah, they didn't have speed forever.
Speed, yeah,
if they had
slow.
a spell called slow, then they'd be enchantresses in Warcraft 3. But anyway,
that'd be insane.
Yeah, he's got to run the Zealots out, and I don't even know if they're going to make it through the minefield. This is just a little bit ridiculous. So, I mean, we're seeing a slow, painful death at this point, Kicks.
And you can see that immediately Gyro throws down a scan to see if there's any additional units that could come in from behind. Now, yeah, the Dragoons in the middle are going to block the Vulture reinforcements. The problem is, he's going to be hard contained in his main. He doesn't have a third base. He doesn't have a probe out in the middle of the map to build gateways elsewhere, so he's just going to be relying entirely on this breakout.
Yes. Well, tell me more about this double quotes breakout, Kicks. I don't know if we're going to make it to the breakout part of the breakout. This is like if you watch the movie Jailbreak, but you only watch it for like 5 minutes. There's actually no jailbreak. So, oh no, not Dragoons first. I guess you want to tank the first round of tank shots. Here we go. Oh no, all the Zealots are dying. Wow, that's just too bad.
Wait, he's slowly breaking? Maybe not. No. No, okay.
Nope.
I got optimistic for a second. I think if the Zealots had speed there, he could have actually broken out. Like,
oh yeah, no,
a lot of Zealots, man.
Yeah, no, I actually agree. That did go much better than I thought it was gonna go, but it still just absolutely failed. So
yeah.
Goodbye, Protoss Army, and goodbye, Protoss. GG, Horatos taps out, and Gyro will take the game for White Clan.
Yeah, it looks like Gyro stayed a little bit to finish off his dinner, but that leaves us to game number 3 with White Clan up 2-0. Now, a lot of people, especially in round 1, would say, well, this is the obvious result. White Clan are clearly going to be the best team in the entire of the STPL. Yeah. But then you have a situation wherein Red suddenly bosses out in round 2, they go undefeated, make it to the group stage, and then in round 3, they face off against some of the best teams. Like Red are one of the best teams in STPL. The first 2 games they've had haven't looked all that good. We're going to come into there, like, I would say that this guy coming up is their kind of ultimate ace player. It's Cryok. I mean, he's absolutely insane Terran player, and if someone's going to bring us back into the series, it's going to be him.
Yeah, he absolutely could. I expect great things from Cryok. Super good player.
So I am currently loading the next replay, trying to be a little bit more efficient, not having to go to so many breaks before. just to sort of make things a little bit on the viewers, but I'm just kind of setting everything up as we get into this replay here.
I was just say, viewers need breaks too, Kicks.
That's a good point. You know what? Let's have a quick, like, 1 minute break, and we'll see you guys very soon. Hello guys, and welcome back to the STPL. My name is Kix, joining me is Rapid, and we're here for Red versus White Clan. And now we've actually started off with a pretty sick series. The games have been kind of interesting. Not the best, I must admit, but it's been pretty fun so far without a PvP and a TvP. And now we're going to go into another TvP. There's been a lot more Terrans recently, which is kind of better for me, but hopefully you guys like TvP as much as I do.
As a TvP is pretty iconic. I feel like, you know, if you watch a bunch of them in a row where one race wins over the other, you think it's super imbalanced. And I think if you ask either player on either side, they'll say that it's totally favored the opposite way. I do think that, like, when you have a Terran player who is competent, the inevitability rises that the Terran player wins. If you can if as a Terran player you can sit back in a lot of matchups on a lot of maps on 3 bases, get your upgrades, and then push out, it's tough. But things like arbiters exist, right? So yeah, you never know. Anything's possible.
Okay, so let's introduce our third couple of players here as we get near ready for game number 3. So we're going to be starting off with First. Now, First hasn't had the best results White Clan in the league. He's actually lost all 6 games he played, and the only PvT he played he did actually lose, and that was against Bullsfly Mio. The First, not the most obvious choice here to send out in week 1, maybe testing the wall, seeing how the other players and the other team are reacting to the breaks and things in between the rounds. But his opponent going to be one of the bosses of the league. 13 before overall is our man Cryark here. I believe Cryark's German. He's actually 3-3 against Protoss at the moment. Did beat Marine, beat Castle, and beat PRL. He's lost to DeWalt, Yeti, and DeWalt again. So Cryok now had the best record against him, but overall he has done insanely well, so it's cool to see him here in the STPL once again. And let's introduce our third man. Okay guys, welcome back. We are watching here Eye of the Now Eye of the Storm is a relatively modern player map even. We have spawn the four corners, but in this case we're going to be watching top right against bottom left again. We're going to have our Terran player starting off in bottom left this time, Protoss in the top right. Now one thing of note on this map is the closest is to take third base. Is this one in the bottom and the one in the top. Now, the issue is these bases are mineral only, so you can't take a third gas. Now this benefits Protoss and Terran in different ways in this matchup. It allows Terran to not have to worry about too much Protoss tech super early on, as they're required to sort of expand in one of the other mains, or one of the very easy to push side flanking gas expansions. And I mean, the middle of this map kind of favors Protoss a little bit. There's not really too much of a choke anywhere that Terran can abuse. So the later this game goes on in a PvT here, I think Protoss has a little bit of an advantage. Obviously Terran does need that third gas eventually, and he'll need that fourth gas, and you're quite open to recall on the map.
Oh yeah, that's actually a really good point. Recall here is I mean, it's always annoying, right? You ask any Terran player, you ask them what's the most OP spell in PvT. Some people say Storm, but those people are Luddites kicks.
They're all
It's actually Recall.
Yeah, recall is like, oh, I'm doing really well, I'll just push out and kill you now. Wait, you're in my base and now I'm dead. Okay, I guess that's how this game works.
No, it's actually disgusting. So, yeah, the game can just spontaneously end, but you are correct. Recall is a super scary spell on this map, and actually just even traversing the middle with the way that high ground works can be actually very difficult, because if you can control the middle of the map thanks to that high ground, it's actually really difficult. Or
no.
Oh, okay, I thought it actually was high ground, but if you can control the middle of the map, that makes it really hard to take those side bases, which can be super key, especially if you don't feel safe taking the 6 or 12. That's really one of the most key sources of gas on this map. So Eye of the Storm can often come down to, can you hold those side bases against your opponent?
Yeah, now hopefully we're going to see a relatively longer game this time. Cryok is a man who I think will make that happen. He plays relatively standard here, and First plays relatively standard in PvT as well. So without further ado, let's get into game number 3 here on Eye of the Storm. It's Cryok versus First. Now starting us off here in the top right hand position, we do have the Protoss fighting for White Clan. First.
That's right, and his opponent, a fantastic German Terran player. He is Cryok, of course, in the red in the bottom left of the map.
PvP early game here, not really too much we can say unless one of the players proxy gates the other one, and obviously one side can do that, so we'll have to see him first. There's going to be a little... He's not sent a probe out just yet, so I imagine he's going to open quite standard. Now, one of the major openings that you see, not very often on this map, is the 12-12 gate, the 2-gate power goon as well, and that's not as powerful on this map. If we actually take a look at the revealed map here, you'll see that there's a very small choke with these around the Terran main, And there's also quite a small choke here to defend at the natural as well, so a little bit harder to make Dragoons work.
Dude, well, I mean, it's always hard to make Dragoons work, but yes, you are correct there. The biggest thing is like, based on what kind of strategy you're going for, the map really does enable you to have a lot of success there. So, for instance, if you're trying to one base, blocking the opening to your main is actually a little bit easier. It's not as small a choke as things like Blue Storm or something, but you can actually do it with you know, a probe and a unit. So like you get out your first zealot and you can block what your tech path is, or you know, if you get out a couple of Zerglings, you can try to block that as a Zerg player to stop scouting information. So it actually can be a little bit sneaky. But also, if you're going to expand to your natural expansion, walling this choke is one of the hardest things to do. I've seen so many pro players mess it up. So yeah, you definitely have to practice specifically for this map.
Yeah, this map has some strange angles on buildings, and a lot of places where you think, hey, this is going to block units, and actually doesn't.
Yeah.
So, kind of interesting. I mean, luckily enough, we won't really get too much on this map. We'll likely see a little bit later on if First decides to wall off against any possible Vulture run buys, which are relatively standard in PvT, so that could come in things, but with them going to be scouting each other second, so both of them going to know exactly what's going on. Now Cryarch, going for a gas this time. He is out after he built his factory, so it's going to be a one factory expand here for him, and he does have this city out the front of his base, which I can't help but think a little bit later on could cause trouble fitting in factories.
Actually, yeah, you're right, because the tanks would have to come in from the side, and then where do you build your factories? Because it's going to be below that. I don't know. One of the biggest ways you can tell how good a player is you wait until like 10 minutes and you look at their base.
Yeah.
And it will, if you can't figure out by 10 minutes, then maybe something else is wrong. But just look at their base. The architecture of a base is a lot like a city. You guys know how painful it is. You drive in these major cities where like they didn't expect that they were going to be big cities. They just kind of got there, and the roads are so terrible. But then you see these like big like planned cities, like New York's a great example, where they just have blocks and everything looks great.
Everything's
and
on a grid, yeah.
Yeah, that's very, very well done. So, having been to the UK, I can say that they are more the former than the latter.
Yeah.
Depending on which cities you go to. So it's a little bit crazy.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things, well, it's kind of weird. There's kind of two sides to that story as well. And when it comes to Group 1, you have players like, I think it's Harangi, who is known as having like the best Protoss base layout ever, because everything always looks super pretty, even though he can't fit everything in there. It just makes it look like a garden of some kind. But then you have players like Flash, who, when he starts off, I mean, Flash is without a doubt still the best player in the world, and with it, like, starts off the game, everything is super planned, and then you'll notice that as the game goes on, his base gets messier and messier, but he's so good that he can still macro with that, and it doesn't bother him at all. But it is kind of weird how it affects different players differently. Like, if my base is laid out like how I expect it or how I want it to be, I just end up playing worse, so...
Well, it's also like if you feel stressed, the long-term effects of that stress are base layout. So some people, like you may think it's like a timing of an upgrade, but I think the bigger difference is like base layout. Man, you watch Artosis stream. The biggest thing, you rush that guy, his base layout looks like Swiss cheese. There's just holes everywhere. It's just so rough. But the biggest a cool thing to watch is how pressure affects base layout. This is like not the most exciting or like sexy point that we're trying to make.
Yeah.
But it is kind of cool to talk about every once in a while.
Yeah, and it's something to talk about while we kind of wait for things to get going. Both players going for a fast expansion. We had a little bit of lag again there, but seems to again. We've got Robo coming up after 2 gateways into a 3rd gate, so we're going to have an observatory after this as well. And I mean, this is quite possibly the most standard you could ever see a TVP open. The only difference is you've got a factory expand rather than a Rax expand, which is more common these days. But and I mean, both players kind of just hanging out on their side of the map doing their own thing.
Yeah, this is that No Rush 20 game. We're just gonna get a chance to macro, and you know, I've seen Protoss who are like really good at taking advantage of this, but I feel like a lot of times it's Terrans that get the bigger lead off of an uneventful early game. Because for the Terran player, you got to worry about like just not dying a lot. I mean, there's a lot of scary pushes that Protoss can die to as well. Whoa, second volley comes off and takes out the Vulture. Whoo, that was almost scary because it's way harder to get Dragoons back into your main than it is to get a Vulture back there.
Yeah, and I mean, luckily enough, there was no ramp there to kind of make the Dragoons miss, but
Yeah.
the funny thing that always gets me, especially when watching pro games as well, is you'll get one Vulture, 5 probes in head, and it's like, wait, how'd they do that? How does that work? But it always seems to work. They always seem to get way more damage done than what you'd expect. Now, first, unlike Horatoss is actually preparing for a drop that isn't actually coming his way, but he doesn't lose anything by having these Dragoons here. It's just kind of a little bit of insurance almost to make sure he doesn't die to a drop. That's to be careful of. Now, I'm a little bit worried for Cryarch here. His second factory may actually be blocking his first one from sending his units out, so I'm going to keep an eye on this tank, see what way it goes.
Sorry, I didn't catch that last part. It broke up.
Oh, I'm basically going to watch where the tank's going, because I get the feeling that this tank is not going to be able to fit through that top bit. And then it does, so we're fine. But that,
wow.
That is close.
There's no justice.
That's very, very tight. Like, I wouldn't want to be sending a lot of vultures through there at once with a tank. I think he's going to suffer a little bit with traffic jams later on in the game, but hopefully it won't be to do with a recall, because if a recall gets in his main and his units get stuck there, that's going to be GG. But looks like first going to find this vulture in the middle of that mineral only. Going to take his third base.
Yeah, third base coming down, maybe a few seconds late, but it's not like it's terribly delayed or anything. And one benefit of this positioning for the third base is that you have a lot of different ways to get your units out of it. So if you want to build a bunch of gateways up here, there is actually real estate for you to do that. Some side third bases are actually really hard to build buildings in. For example, the 3 and 9 o'clock bases. Like, you're just not going to be able to build a bunch of gateways there. It just doesn't. It's not going to happen. But at the 12 and 6, you actually can. So that can allow Protoss player to get up a little bit of extra infrastructure ahead of schedule. So observers are in to the Terran base, so that should give first some extra info to work out exactly where he needs to be with his forces. Although a nice scan to take out one of them does mean that Cryarch's army is at least unscouted for now.
Oh, and he's gonna get another
second
one.
Observer.
Oh, that's so good. Oh, he's just about gonna miss out.
Oh my god, he just barely missed it.
Oh wow,
he
gets
burns
it.
an extra scan. That's a really good pickoff. It's always really nice to keep the Protoss player in the dark because they can't scan like Terrans can.
The trouble is, though, you run into the problem of Cryarch doesn't actually know what his opponent's doing either. So Cryarch kind of left himself in the dark here to keep himself with a little bit of an advantage moving forward. Now, obviously, as you get later on in the game, if you've got an observer in your base, suddenly the mines you've laid to defend against a recall are suddenly worthless, and they just look for the one place you've not built mines and drop there. So it does pay to keep the Protoss at bay and out of your base, but a little bit worrying here for first as he pushes forward.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. For first, he only does have that one observer, and actually, I think he's going to scan to kill the observer again.
He just used to expand. He scanned somewhere else. So
yeah, he scanned the expos.
Kind of missed the natural there. He actually scanned in front of it to try and see where the army was. Didn't see anything, so he is going to continue to move his units over. But first is doing a pretty good job keeping these vultures at bay in the top middle. But here come the mines.
Yeah, so the mines are going to go off. He does sack a Dragoon, but totally worth it to keep these vultures out. He's still going to be able to hold on. Good job denying the mines and denying the vultures more specifically. That was very well played.
Yeah, I almost wonder if he could have just pulled Dragoons back a little bit more, though, because he did have an observer there, so it's not like he couldn't kill them. But I guess he was just playing safe. I mean, one Dragoon, in the grand scheme of things, not that much. Better to lose one Dragoon than 12 probes to a mine drag, so that's something to watch out for.
Well, we've got the second phase of the game coming. This is where Terran players start to like really hit their macro strides. Like we're talking like 5-6 factories. Let's see, how many factories is he on right now? Looks like actually only 4. Okay, so he hasn't like had to hit the next swell. The third base is just now coming up, so yeah, he should actually be building a couple more factories here, probably pretty soon. For the Protoss player, we're just getting that first Arbiter upgrade, and it looks like it's going to be Stasis, not Recall first.
Yeah, this makes sense on this map. He's going to be expecting a push coming in from Cryo. He saw all of Cryo's units leave his base. He's now going to see the SCVs transferring, so he knows there's a base over there. But Cryok's in a relatively good place to defend. I mean, his tank's going to be watching this front bridge. Does need to be careful, because obviously there's 2 big wide angles. Or first to kind of swing around here, possibly even go into his main. But first, just playing quite conservatively, going to pull back. Gonna secure this 4th base here over at this gas. Now, he does kind of leave himself open a little bit later on because he's not getting the real estate to really add enough extra gateways on. And this is the big problem I see a lot of. It's one of the major differences I've seen between PvT now and PvT 9 years ago. In 2010, when like Jangvi was the king of PvT and everyone was just in pure agreement of that, even Stork doing really well back then, you always saw them take another main and get another gateway farm very, very quickly because they knew how hard it was to take out this big Terran 2-1 push, but we don't see Protoss players doing that as much recently.
Yeah, no, one of the things is usually you have to take another main. A lot of these maps are pretty big, so taking that main can be a kind of a challenge if you don't expand straight towards it. So for example, if the third base was at the 3, then you can go down and take that main maybe a little bit earlier. But now that the Nexus is coming up at that southeastern base, bottom left or bottom right, now we can start to see those big gateway farms be built. And I was talking about maybe building them up towards the north. You can definitely fit some up there, but haven't seen that just yet. Uh-oh, here come the vultures. Yeah,
the vultures getting into the main, not going to be able to kill too much. They haven't even found the probe, but they are going to do a decent amount of damage. Looks like he does see it, so we'll go and kill it. I mean, it's not going to be too hard for the Dragoons to clear this up. I mean, this is a good place for first to go and expand to, realistically. It's going to be far away from the Terran's third, and it kind of leaves Cryok open to actually go and attack this, so good decision making by first to take this base. It's also going to give the staging ground for this Arbiter a little bit later on to go in for a recall. I'm not sure if we've seen that upgrade coming yet, but it's certainly going to be on the cards a little bit later on.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's definitely one of the best spells you can get. So the time until that hits, yeah, it's going to take a while. We're researching EMP right now, so that's going to be done right on time. Or is it? Actually, is that going to be done in time? I guess it is. We're not really looking to push the envelope. Okay, so yeah, recall's coming through. You know what we're getting? The most important upgrade in the game kicks.
What's that?
The Kaidaran Core upgrade. It's Arbiter Energy, Max Energy upgrade.
Nice. That's always good though. And here we go. Looks like we've actually got Arbiter heading into the bottom of the map. Recall must be finished. There is a turret here, and immediately first turns around. But Cryok knows that this is on the table now, and you see this science vessel heading straight down. But oh my god, he's actually going to get into the main base anyway. And recall.
Whoa! Now there is a mine that will go off, but that isn't a sick recall. Oh my goodness, that's so bad.
Oh, he could even cancel EMP if he notices. Looks like EMP is just finished though. But the unit's getting stuck coming into the main, just like I said. The Matrix on that front tank make it a little bit harder, but both the armories look like they're going to go down. They have finished upgrading. The 2-1 is finished, but there's going to be no 3-2 anytime soon. And this recall was well worth it for first, and even the science facility going down.
He killed the science facility. Oh my god, it's so good. Science facility, this is... A lot of times it's just like everything gets a little bit damaged, but nothing like really valuable dies. Great targeting by first. He killed all the most valuable structures there. Even forced a lift on the starport as well just to get the units back there. So, oh my god, that's so good. And now that he's dented Cryok a little bit there, look at what he gets to do. He's safe to go out and pick off a bunch of mines. He can pressure the 6 o'clock base if that were starting to come up. He just gets back control of the map because all the tanks had to pull back. Well, not all of them, but you know, a lot.
Most of them did, and a lot of them actually got stuck in the base for a while. He was having trouble getting them back out into the middle. But the trouble is, Cryark hasn't been able to push. He hasn't been able to take a fourth base. He's been completely static on the map, and first is maxed again. Even after that recall, and he's adding on those gateways in his bottom right base. He's giving himself the ability to flank this big Terran army. And I mean, it's only a matter of time before this starts to get really out of hand for first here as he gets his bank bigger and bigger, adds more and more gateways. I really, really like the gateway placement by first here in this main, making it very easy for his units to get out. So not something you see very often, but here we go. Looks like we're going to have another Arbiter coming in. Stasis going down on a couple of units. Not the best stasis, but he's going to come in from multiple angles and see what he can do.
Yeah, Stasis might act like a wall to kind of block the Zealots out here. It does look like we have quite a few Vultures for a moment, but then they all disappeared. Where'd they go, Kicks? It's like they're cloaked too, but not in the good way. But in the end, there is a deep enough tank line that does take the Zealots out before they were able to really crush through everything. But this is exactly what you want to do as a Protoss player. You want to get a ton of bases, sick economy, and you kind of play like a Zerg player. You just shove units down the Terran throat, keep them from moving out, and keep kind of resetting this Vulture count, so it's really hard to get anywhere.
Yeah, because the less Vultures you have, the less mines you have, the less backup your tanks have, more importantly. I mean, Cryark has so many tanks right now, but he just doesn't have the vegetables to go with his meat of his army here. If he tries to push, a big Zealot flood is going to cause him a lot of problems. And with over something like 20 gateways from first, who's actually sacking probes now as well to get a bigger army, things are not looking good. Now an EMP does hit both of the Arbiters. Good usage of that spell here. And maybe Cryark is hitting at a dangerous time here by first.
Yeah, Cryark just pushed, I think, when first expected him to pull or something. I don't know, but like I said, control of this middle area, once you get this, can be very, very difficult to deal with unless you come in with like a sick 360 flank or something. But he's going to try to reclaim this. I think he's going before he has the units that he needs. The siege doesn't come up just immediately in time, but I don't know if there's enough Zealots to break through here. Yeah, first is going to have to pull back.
Yeah, now first, the next stage of this army, he doesn't have Templar, he doesn't have Storm, and he's not going into carriers. He's actually going to Stargate Arbiters right now, and while that's going to give him a lot of stasis, if he gets hit by EMPs like he just did, that is not going to be a spell that he's going to be able to use, so he does need to be careful. Now the problem is, Cryark has a lot of tanks here, but look how open they are. If there was a big swell of Zealots, they could just run in and get them. The tanks are unsieged, and first, taking out some of the Vultures once again.
Vulture count getting a little bit reset, but actually I gotta give a little bit of a shout out to my boy first. We don't talk about Protoss macro enough. He has managed to stay consistently maxed this entire time, and it's incredible because now he didn't have enough Zealots to break through that wall. This time he does, and that's just so crazy to me. Also, the Vulture count, we talked about it being reset. This is what happens when you don't have Vultures. You lose so much of your tank line. Look at that, the supply just went down like 50 for Cryark in first, and if you can trade out tank supply, that's like almost the most valuable. But I will say, the dude abides. Cryark's still in this.
He is. Now he does have his armories again. He's actually gone double armory. 3-2 has just finished up for him, so his army is exponentially stronger now. But the trouble is, first has got EMP'd so many times. His Arbiters just don't have enough energy for the spells. And it's the spells late game that really keep your army alive, especially as the upgrades get further and further forward.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is he keeps clumping his Arbiters, so they all get EMP'd at the same time. Now, finally, an Arbiter's gotten out. He might try for a recall here at the third base. Yeah, he's actually going to go in for it. Here we go.
Recall! Oh my god, he actually recalled 3 other Arbiters as well. I'm not sure if he wanted to do this. He's actually trapping the rest of his army at the moment in this third base, hoping to get the killing blow. I mean, these Arbiters don't have energy, so they're not going to be able to recall anything else in. And a good defense by Cryark.
Yeah, why do you recall your arbiters in there? Like you, I've seen a lot of Protoss players recall in, kill a bunch of stuff, and then recall back out again. I'm like, okay, dope. You know, that's a sick play. But you know, you gotta you gotta have some arbiters to save him with, and he doesn't.
Yeah,
So
the
I think he
EMP's
might
gonna come
actually
in
lose.
again.
Oh no, and they're all stacked on top of each other.
Unlucky by First, but First did kill a good number of those SCVs. And I mean, First macro has been absolutely on point. He just threw away a load of his army, and he's maxed already. So, I mean, with this many gateways, 3-2 upgrades himself, there's undefended tanks in the middle once again. There's actually an Arbiter with energy here. Stasis going down. In fact, I don't really agree with this. Stasis is going to keep Cryox units alive. He could have killed them all. But you know what? That's a good usage of Stasis. Going to keep those tanks out of the fight for a little bit. Rune's heading into the 6 o'clock base. Not getting too much damage done, but still pulling Cryox around a little bit.
Here we go, trying to break through the top. This is a very deep tank line. I almost feel like this is maybe the most difficult way to break through. He does keep the Terran player from expanding northwards, but I mean, I'm pretty sure the 6 o'clock base is just kind of all the resources Cryog needs now that his main's mined out. So, whew, man, this is starting to get a little bit rough here. We're going to try to break in and take some of these tanks out. Great job by First to kind of pick off the last remaining tanks in the middle. Going to reclaim the ability to move across the map, and now turning his sights towards the 6 o'clock base.
Yeah, now this is a lot of Zealots running in here. Good mine, gonna do a lot of damage to those Zealots. The Vultures, though, keeping everything alive. And the EMP not hitting that Arbiter for now, but that's a lot of dead units once again from First. Now, one thing you saw is he actually tried to target down that turret. So if this burns down, we could see some keys coming out the bottom right-hand base. But we're still a way off yet. And First, still maxed. He threw away like 2 control groups of units, and he's maxed again immediately with this bank he has.
Yeah, well, I don't know. At First is just magical. I don't know how many gateways this guy has. Let's see. He's got 6 down in the south. Let's see if he has any others anywhere else. So 6 down there, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So he's working off of maybe 15 gateways right now. That's a lot. And so it's no surprise that he's able to just keep churning these units out. He's also about to hit 3-3 with +1 shields completing. So these are very powerful Protoss units. And it feels weird to say that in the PvT because Terran units are just always better.
Yeah, I mean, when you start seeing the shield upgrades come in, it's not actually a bad idea to start mixing in those Archons, but there's still no Templar tech, which, to be honest, kind of surprises me, but relying entirely on gateways and arbiters, you know what? If it's worked until now, why don't keep trying? The one problem he's going to have is Cryok, despite the fact he's mined out in his top, or his left-hand side, or yeah, his main and his natural, he still has 2 bases mining, and his army is about to go ahead into 3-3. Looks like he's actually not opted to go into 3-3, but 3-2 is still a strong set of upgrades to have. And as long as he defends against recalls, still in a good place.
Yes, I agree. But I mean, a good place can turn into a bad place if you overextend. I'm waiting.
Recall!
Where is it?
6.
No mines kind of surprisingly set up there, so this is going to kind of bop these tanks down, even with a D-Matrix. That's quite a few Zealots there, my lad. And all of them will get taken out. Now, obviously, this is going to get dealt with pretty quickly. I'm actually surprised he didn't like target down the SCVs there, but man, these Zealots are super annoying to deal with.
Yeah, Zealots are just insanely game, especially when you start getting those shield upgrades in as well. All of a sudden, Vultures don't seem as powerful as they were before, somehow, even though they still count as Zealots pretty hard. But, I mean, it looks like First tried to push in through that left-hand middle base again. But the unfortunate thing is for him, Cryok still has a bunch of tanks here. Tanks have so many kills, and I don't even think they've moved for the past 10 minutes, so...
Yeah.
Cryok's defense is pretty good.
Cryok's defense is amazing, but First has taken every other base on the map. He's mined out the 12 o'clock base, and he's getting close to mining out. So he's mined out his main 12 o'clock. His natural has like maybe 300, 400, 500 minerals on those patches, so that's gonna mine out pretty soon here. So as long as he keeps his macro up, he has actually all the money.
Mine's doing a lot of damage to these Zealots. I mean, we're still got a big bank here for first. But Cryok's army, one thing to note is obviously Cryok's been losing a lot of SCVs throughout all of the recalls. And that means his army size is suddenly a lot bigger than what you'd expect in this point in the game. Now we do have another Arbiter coming in. It's going to stasis some of the units defending this 6 o'clock base. Cryok is trying to push up to the top left, and this is when First is going to strike down on 6.
Yeah, wow, this is going to work way better than all the previous attacks. He's going to target down the command center, which is not going to be lifted in time for it to, not be burning.
Yeah, it's not going to survive, so that's definitely going to go downhill.
Down.
The trouble is, First has trapped his entire army in the 6 o'clock position area now. Cryok pulling back, coming in from multiple angles, is in fact going to take down so much supply of First, but First supply is not dropping. He's just got constant units being produced.
Yeah, First's back row is insane. He's actually not even mining off the bases on the left-hand side of the screen. He's just continuing to produce off the ones he already has. And even though, yeah, he lost most of his army there, that's what you do as a Protoss player. Your army is not supposed to last a long time. It's supposed to get in there and trade with more valuable units. And so as a Protoss player, you just have to get used to fighting a lot. Because if you don't, the Terran player gets into a position kind of like this. Now, this is Cryok's, realistically, the biggest, most important part of the game for Cryok.
Yeah.
If he can push out here and take down these bottom bases, then he is absolutely in a sick place. But if he can't, he is going to get mined out because he's actually completely out of minerals. He's not mining at this point.
Yeah, he lost the 6 o'clock base, obviously the 3 o'clock base, the 9 o'clock base even about to go down. Now Cryok has managed to take out the bottom right hand base, but he's got nothing but tanks here in defense. A couple of vultures gonna help with the zealots. Oh, a lot of mines though going off on the dragoons underneath that arbiter. And suddenly Cryok is in a much better position. If he can secure this bottom right hand base, secure those bases, suddenly he's in a much better position.
Yeah, you do have to, you don't really have to protect any of your bases as Cryok except for your main, because
yeah,
the other bases are not mining. So it's not really a big problem if you lose like your natural or your third, because you're not using them at all anyway. So this is absolutely a success for Cryok. As long as he can take out this bottom right-hand base, then he's going to be in a great spot. But that's where all the gateways are. This is why you build tons of gates at different locations around the map, because you can just produce an army to fight there. Look at this. This is 12 zealots that just magically came out of nowhere and are going to kill all these tanks because there's no vultures here. But there are vultures being rebuilt that are going to start to flood across the map. And I think at this point, was that enough damage? I think yes, until these upper right-hand bases get going.
Yeah, if those upper left-hand bases start mining, all of a sudden First is in the same position. And just want to say a huge thanks to Age for his 4-month resub. Hopefully you've been enjoying the stream so far. Good to have you around. If you don't know who Age is, he is the clan leader of Clan IRK and all around a great guy. So big shout outs to him. Obviously we've got First units moving through the middle. Cryok, all of a sudden, his good position he had before with his army, his tanks have gone down due to all those zealots, and it's tanks versus zealots again. Cryok's army is suddenly so much smaller.
Wow, yeah, this is gonna be a rough one. I think the biggest thing for Cryok is that he's got only tanks. Like, if you had this number of tanks and vultures, yeah, actually wouldn't be so bad. He's still gonna kill this Protoss army, but that's fine. I mean, he's been killing Protoss armies the whole game, but First could just keep making them over and over again. So my problem is like the unit balance is really off for Cryok at this point, and he keeps winning these fights because tanks are good against dragoons. But as soon as like a million zealots show up in his face, what are you gonna do?
Not even that. He's gonna have trouble against these arbiters soon. He doesn't have that many scanners anymore. There is a single
besides scanners,
vessel
like,
up here, but
we meme about Archons or arbiters dealing 0 damage, but they actually do start to stack up if you have like 5 or 6 of them in the air. So
yeah.
This is actually a really weird time to be alive, Kicks. Cryok's retaking the 6, and that's good, but he's gonna run out of gas here pretty soon. And I think that might be even the worst thing.
And not only that, there's an even worse thing top right of first main. He's going into that fleet beat, and he started those air upgrades. He's got the shield upgrades from before, and the 6 o'clock base that Krark tried to take to mine again has gone down. Krark is going all in with everything he has to the top left-hand side. If he can take out these bases, First is going to be mined out, but First is up over 100 supply, and First looks like he doesn't care. He's going for the main, going for the jugular, and can he do it?
Well, I mean, he's going to have to do it. Actually, I guess he doesn't have to do it pretty soon. If he loses these upper left-hand bases, then yes, he has to do it pretty soon. But if he can swoop around, maybe make a big dent here. I mean, once you get on top of Terran production facilities,
taking out the concepts.
That's when it starts to hurt. Yeah, oh, so sick. Obviously, there's still science vessels, but you can snipe those later on. This is actually a really big
he's gonna get one there.
Here.
Yeah, things are not looking too good for Krark. Krark still has a few tanks in that top left position, but you can see the gateway farms already in production over here in the top left. Krark is going to be able to secure a base, but for how long? If DTs start coming out of those gateways, all of a sudden, Krark is in a terrible position. He doesn't actually have that many scanners. Looks like his tank's going to try and take down these Dragoons, but they're trading so efficiently with these tanks. At least they were, and now they're not.
Yeah, I mean, he is going to lose those Dragoons, but like we said, the gateways are pumping, the farms are active. This would be such a sick part, like a sci-fi movie, where you pan over and you just see that all the Protoss gateways are pumping. And it's like, oh my god, what an epic moment. And so this is big. Killing the Terran main is so impossible because they don't have gateway farms everywhere. Krark cannot build units at this point, and I think this is the killing blow from First.
It very well could be. If Krark loses all of his supply depots, that is going to be impossible to come back from. Looks like that's going to be it. GG! First takes down Krark in an epic PvT, which lasted more than both our first games combined.
Damn, wow, that's such a sick PvT. The macro from First, insane. That guy just built so many units. I was actually checking the units lost tab at the end, and he lost a total of 178,000 resources worth of units. Like, let's see total units lost. He lost 514 units that game. Oh my god.
That's crazy. I mean, Krark did his best to hold on. His defense was impeccable for most of the game. But he just couldn't get the engagements he needed. I mean, there were still times where Krark could have won that game. I mean, Krark was so close at the very end. But the fact that First forced his hand, sent all of his units into the main, that just kind of, it kind of put the nail in his coffin, unfortunately. I mean, we are going to go into our fourth game still after this short break, but you've got to remember that White Clan have technically beat Red now. It's going to be up to Red to get a little bit of pride back when it goes to Talent versus Telecom, but crazy game that we just got to see.
Yeah, no, absolutely sick. And this is why you should watch STPL. That's why you should fave it, like it, hit that heart up above to follow so you know whenever it goes live. You can follow it on Twitter as well, so you can watch every single sick game just like that one.
So we'll be back in just a second. We'll load up the next replay, get the overlay ready, and I will quickly grab a drink, and we'll see you guys in just over a minute. Anywhere. Okay guys, welcome back to the STPL. We did just first takedown crowd to give White the 3-2 victory in the series, but there's one more game to be played. It's between a couple of cool players here. Just to introduce our first one, I'll just throw it over to the player stat screen. We'll see it's someone who's not played in the STPL for a long time, but it's someone many of you will know about if you've been in the Brood War scene for a while. It's Telecom.
Oh boy, Telecom. What a way to, you talk about some people who bridge the gap between our communities, Kicks. Well, I think Telecom is definitely one of those guys. I know there's some very polarizing opinions out there, but at the end of the day, he's actually still a pretty good player. Although if you look at his stats, obviously he's played 3 games, so those are not going to be indicative of his actual skill.
Yeah, I mean, one of the games that I remember Telecom playing was the first one against Favorite on Judgment Day, where he actually went Proxy 2-gate. It very nearly worked, but Favorite got a really lucky scout off, so I will have to see exactly how he's going to go here. It's kind of funny that Telecom has played 3 games. All of them have been against Protoss, and he's played against some of the better Protosses on the respective teams as well. Favorite, one of the best Protoss on IRK. Future was definitely the best Protoss on Media, and Indy is pretty good for Ash as well. So kind of cool to see him here. He's going to be up against one of the newer players here for Red. They actually added him or her during the break. So much like their pal Talent, they are going to be playing here as Protoss for Red on our next map. Obviously, we're going to quickly introduce that map with this short intro, and it's going to be Great Barrier Reef. Okay guys, so you're looking at Great Barrier Reef here. This is a 3-player map. You have the 2 players spawning in this case in the 2nd and 3rd locations. Now, it's a PvP, so map features don't come into it too much, but just to quickly go through the main ones, you do have this sort of mineral-only base behind the natural, which you can get by mining out the very small mineral patch, so we could see that a little bit later on. PvP very rarely gets to this stage, but there's 3 main paths separating both our players from each other, so it's going to be a little bit harder to push in, a little bit harder to contain on this map as well, because you do have a lot of airspace around the edge of the map, kind of reminiscent of Outsider. So Reaver's pretty good on this map, Storm Drop very good on this map as well.
Yeah, it's a super classic map. I feel like a lot of iconic games have been played on there. It's a little bit deceptive. You try to walk through the middle, it funnels you through the little tiny, like, I don't know, like the 3-way split in the middle of the map. So if you just click your army to go from one side to the other, it splits your army up really awkwardly, and that can be really painful. So you definitely have to either funnel your units specifically around the side, or just make sure that you don't get caught out of position by having your army kind of split up like that. And then obviously Outsider mechanics on the outside of the map make it really good for drop play a lot of times to shut down bases early on, or just kind of surprise your opponent there.
Yeah, so without further ado, let's get into our PvP here. It's Talent versus Telecom. See if Red can win a little bit of pride back in this series, or is Telecom going to take it home and get the 4-0 sweep to start off White Clan in round 4, week 1? Let's find out as we get into the game. Now starting us off here, over in the bottom right hand position, we do have the Peach Protoss fighting for Red. It is Talent.
And his opponent on the other side of the map is Telecom. Of course, the green player for White Clan, which might be a little bit confusing. But either way, it looks like white is the superior color today, but red has the potential to win back that, that I guess pride a little bit at the end, taking out Telecom. Would be a nice way to finish off the set.
Yeah, and it's not only that. If you are new to the STPL, there's a few new followers. Welcome, guys. Basically, the way the STPL works is every single game played in a set counts towards the final qualification into the playoffs at the end. Now, I never thought it would come into it too much, but we saw in round 3 a team missed out on getting into the playoffs by 2 game losses. They were tied with White Clan neck and neck until they basically lost 2 more games. Unfortunately, that knocked them out of the playoff position. And even in round 1, we saw IRK tied with White Clan to start us off, and that kind of meant we had to have a tiebreaker and everything. So, it's been kind of crazy.
Yeah, every single game actually does matter in the long run. Obviously, in the short run, they already lost 3-0 in the best of 5, but it does still matter as the game, or as the tournament continues. And this is the last round of the STPL Season 1. It's basically the longest running single season of a tournament ever, of all time.
Maybe.
So, eventually, it will end. And you're going to need every single point to get yourself there, especially for White Clan, because they were on the bubble last season. So very, very important to get every win that you can. And also, I don't know what to expect from talent here. I mean, this is a PvP, so anything can happen to some extent. We don't have low ground mains, which are kind of the most important early game map feature in PvP. But I do think that it will at least be a good way to kind of finish things off. Very even, obviously, because it's a mirror matchup, and it actually should be pretty balanced on the map, on this map as well.
Yeah, now it looks like I figured out what was the lag there. It looks like one of my Chrome windows was deciding, you know what, I'm going to memory leak. So hopefully that's a little bit better. I know it was a little bit laggy there, but we've got both players going for mirror builds at the moment. Nothing too crazy from either side. I mean, in PvP and SCPL, this has kind of been the way. So there is one difference. We've got a Cybercore for one player and no second pylon.
I'm glad you mentioned that. One of my Chrome windows was using like 1.5 gigs of memory, so
wow.
Thanks, Kix. You saved StarCraft again.
I'm killing and saving esports on a minutely basis here, so
you just can't help yourself, Kix.
I know.
It's like you're your own worst enemy. It's your gift is your curse.
Now, Talent did go for the second pylon quicker, but that does delay his Cybernetic score. I believe he actually went for a Zealot here, so that's the major difference. Telecom skipping that Zealot, gonna make it a little bit harder to block any possible scouting, but with Cybercore a little bit quicker, this Dragoon should finish nearly in time to at least kill the probe when it gets in the base. So both players should get a decent amount of scouting information going, but I'd definitely say Telecom has the advantage at the moment in terms of vision.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the only thing I can think of is that Talent's about to get that scout of the his opponent's main. And he's going to see the second. He's going to see this. Okay, eventually he's going to see the second gateway.
Yeah.
That's kind of the big tell. Obviously, if you go for 2 gates and pump Zealots across the map, you can sort of overwhelm an opponent that goes for a Cybercore. But Dragoon range is kind of the big equalizer because they're such a meaty part of PvP.
Yeah, I mean, we have seen players lose 2-gate Zealot, which obviously we're not seeing here, when they've gone for Dragoons first. We've also seen players win doing that as well, so it all comes down to micro in the early game. And I mean, the benefit we have here for Telecom is his main base is upper ramp, so going to make it a little bit harder for Talent to break in, but Telecom is obviously going to be a little bit behind in units, at least until these 2 Dragoons pop, which is still a little bit of a way off.
Here we go. Talent's going to run up the ramp. It's 2 Zealots and a Dragoon versus 2 Dragoons and a 3rd Dragoon. So,
Yep.
I think you might be able to tell how this is going to go. And also there's one Dragoon about to pop out. I thought maybe he could surround that and take it out, but actually really good Zealot control here. But in the end, the Dragoon control from Telecom is just straight up better. Look at that. Is he even going to lose a Dragoon? No!
Nope. He
Wow,
came very,
saves
very
all of them.
close, but does manage to save them all. He is going into Citadel, which has been scouted, so we should see a Robo coming up immediately by Talon, but no, Talon's actually going for a third gateway, taking this
Wait, what?
all in.
What?
He does need
That's
to make
the-
sure he builds a Robo, though. He did start this before he saw the Citadel, at least, so it's not like he just saw this and made the wrong choice. Like, he was already
Talon
doing this
saw-
already.
Yeah, but okay, wow. Yeah, this is, I mean, one of the biggest hard counters in Brood War is 3-gate into DTs, because you don't have a you see the DT come there, and you want detection as badly as Go Play Tetris wants Nina picks. Like it's you can't get enough of it. But you have none of it, and so the struggle is in fact quite real. And so here we go, Kix. We're witnessing the death of a human being.
Yeah,
DT's out on the map and no Robo to speak of.
and he's even going
A
for a
Nexus!
Nexus. I get the feeling that maybe he just didn't pay attention, maybe over-microing his Zealots a little bit, tunnel visioning on the Dragoons of his opponent. I mean, he is going to get the better end of the engagement here. This is the bonus you get with those the 3 gateways. But without a Forge, without Robo, I mean, DTs, which Telecom isn't building at the moment. Well, this could be a big mistake. Telecom has only just now started his first DT. And that's going to give Talon a chance to get the Robo. Oh, no, there is a second DT. My bad, it was running out the base
Yes.
already. But, I mean, this DT is pretty much going to end the game. The Robo coming in now. I do hate to call games before they happen,
it's
but
okay here.
this is pretty much it. Like, that DT is going to do so much damage. Talon still has not seen it. I mean, he is going to be able to break through into this Nexus. He is going to get a rude
There's another
awakening.
DT.
There's a
Yeah.
DT in the main and a DT in his main.
1,
So
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, every probe is gonna die here.
Yeah.
Now, obviously the Dragoons are getting a lot of damage done, but there's no detection. Eventually the DT will kill all the Dragoons. And actually,
all the
maybe
buildings.
you can. Yeah. That's the thing. It's like you can't lift your buildings here, my dude. All of these probes are gonna die. 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, it's just a total tragedy.
yeah, but Telecom's losing all of his probes as well somehow.
Well, he's not protecting the probes with the DTs. Like, just sit a DT by your probes.
I mean, yeah, this is bound to be it. I mean, the game was pretty much over. 21 kills on Telecom's DT in the natural here, and the Dragoons are going down in the main base as well. There's actually more DTs on this map than than Talent has probes now. Talent has a single
Unit.
probe, which is about to go down. I mean, he does have an Observer popping out. He has 2 Dragoons. He has money to rebuild probes. And he has a Dragoon left in the main still. It's going to go down to 1 more DT here. There we go. That goes down.
Yeah, but the DTs are just gonna run across the map.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh no, you can see the 8 DTs that are killing you. How many DTs did he actually have? Is it only 3?
Yeah, it's
Okay,
only
so
3
he
at the
left one
moment.
back at home, I think. Yeah, he left 1 DT back at home, which is smart. It's a safe play. He
Yep.
didn't need to do it, but
The funny thing is, this kind of reminds me of a clip from a video that some people may have seen recently with a certain Terran player, where he just dies to a lot of DTs. But this is a bit more depressing, I think, for Talon. I mean, this is his debut game in the STPL. I don't think he's really been able to show his talent here in his first game. I mean, he has... I mean, I'm going to say this. It doesn't really mean too much, but he's technically held. He has 1 probe. He is down 21 supply. Any GGs. Telecom wins. White get the 4-0. And that's the end of the game.
ta-da! There you go. That was a little bit anticlimactic. I like games like that because it's fun to mix in one of the painful realities of Brood War, and that is that, like, I think you are truly spoiled if you only ever watch, like, the best players play, because you don't realize that I want to say like 90% of Brood War games end very badly for one player, where somebody
the
just
pro
forgets
level.
something. Yeah, well, that's the true thing. Is like at the semi-pro level, it's still true. It's because you just can't put out all the fires at once, and a lot of times you can be almost good, you'll still die to just random stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's the biggest obstacle to amateur players trying to come through ASL or KSL qualifiers. There's just so many ways you can die. So that's one of them for sure, and maybe the most graphic way to die. And it's kind of fun to see that, but in the end, it's a 4-0 for white, so a great way to start off round 4.
Yeah, round 4 for them. I mean, we've got Ho taking down Eridor, Gyro taking down Horatos first, taking down Cryok, and Telecom taking down Talon, getting his first win. I lost my voice as I said that. But his first win in the STPL and his first win in round 4. Good work by Telecom. And apparently I'm pretty fluffy, so I am going to get my hair cut tomorrow, so I'm not going to look like John Lennon anymore. So someone actually said on Wednesday, oh my god, John Lennon cast StarCraft.
That is the second weirdest comment I've ever seen, aside from saying that you are enchanted by someone's voice. I'm just like, oh my, wow. Just gonna leave that one over there and move on.
Who said that? That's a weird comment.
That was go play Tetris about Nina's voice. So
okay.
We're just gonna move right past that one.
Yeah, so we're gonna go into probably a little bit of a longer break. It's gonna be about 4 minutes. I'll throw up a highlight video that I've not shown off for a while, just so we can get a drink, give our voices a little bit more energy, and we'll be back with set number 2, which I believe is going to be Bull versus DM, depending on if I actually got the replays and I just broke Rapid's camera. So we'll be back in just over